You see money all around me, I look like I'm the man. Hey, I just wanted to give some quick thoughts on this new GoldLink Diaspora album. I know I'm pronouncing it wrong, and I feel bad as an African, as a person with African blood. But I just got to get some quick thoughts on this project because I was pleasantly surprised by how entertained this album kept me throughout its duration, throughout the listening process. For those of you who don't know, I think I did some sort of review for this album 2 years ago, and I think that was a collab review that I did, but it was the At What Cost project that I did, and I was kind of indifferent towards that project because though the project was very DC, and though I did feel a lot of GoldLink's personality kind of shining through on that project and his love life, I didn't really feel like the production or GoldLink were punching above their weight, and I felt like they were going very safe, with the exception of some popular songs like Crew. Quick little side note about Moonbaton and a couple of these genres that are popular or exclusive to the DC area is that it's something that I feel has been present in a lot of artists that come from DC, Wale being a big example of that. And in knowing that he's kind of had that hurdle in his career, I looked at GoldLink in a similar fashion, just hoping that as opposed to making musical references to other genres, that he would subtly sprinkle it within his music, and on this project he 100% does that. I guess what I'm getting at more so is that it's not so blatantly a reference track by track to another genre, to Afrobeat, to reggae, to dancehall. Instead, it's sprinkled lightly throughout a lot of these tracks that still maintain a very hip-hop and R&B like aesthetic. So at no point in this project are you generally listening to a song that maintains one genre or sticks to one sound, which to me not only makes for an exciting listen, but it makes for a very adventurous sound. As Moonbaton is a pretty young genre in DC, I was really hoping that it wouldn't be something that would die out so quickly. The album sounds DC, it feels DC, the artists are DC, flows, and the features aren't so traditionally used in ways that you might think that they would be. From You Say with Tyler the Creator and Jay Prince to Days Like This with Khalid, and Khalid honestly on this album gave me vocal inflections and a subtlety that was very smooth that I didn't expect that he would be able to give. As you guys know, I'm not a big fan of Khalid at all, but hearing his voice come into that fucking swelling synth with these knocking back and forth, oh my god. As a rapper, GoldLink is very laid back and charismatic. It adds to the smoothness of this project and makes for a very easy transition from track to track. All of it's pretty soft, even if he is going harder on a certain beat. While Ting with Ari Penn Smith does sound reminiscent of The Weeknd, I can't say that I dislike it at all. Get involved, get close, you my Joe. We on a joke team. I think he does a really good job of picking features because some of these beats are just so vibrant and happy and explosive that we need extra voices to come in and give their energy to tracks like this, especially artists that are musically native to the genres of music that he's referencing. An example of that being Zulu Screams with Malik Berry. If songs like Zulu Scream don't get you out of your seat and moving and wanting to dance, and you know, just the pacing of it, the momentum of the track doesn't get your heart racing, I don't really know if you have a soul. And it sounds like summer, it sounds like a good time. Tracks like Coke White and Moscow with Pusha T are examples of when GoldLink really taps into his rap element. Despite the heaviness of the bass on this track during Pusha T's part and the nature of the track given what he's talking about, it's still a very smooth transition and a very nice musical experience, despite hearing Pusha T rap about what he's rapping about. The transition musically into GoldLink's verse is just as enjoyable on this track, and as a first, there aren't really many examples of tracks that I dislike on this project. I guess the thing that makes this a starlight, in my opinion, is just how GoldLink tries to combine the elements of different genres of music while still maintaining a hip-hop or an R&B aesthetic as a foundation for a lot of the music here. And so much of it being subtly referenced here and there don't make it so abrasive when the transitions come. Like track by track, you're not being thrown into R&B and then immediately in the next track thrown into a dancehall cut, and then immediately in the next track thrown into a hip-hop cut. It's all subtly together in most of the tracks anyway. So when you transition from one song to the next, it doesn't feel like a complete change. If his last album was more reminiscent of house and hip-hop, this one's a lot more reminiscent of just everything that he's learned in his culture in DC and manages to combine it and move forward with it. Not necessarily, I would say, something that's perfected, but something that I do think is a nice change of pace. And Justine Skye is a reference on this project. I can't really speak much to the theme of where it's going. It does still sound very reminiscent of GoldLink, kind of interpolating elements of his own life, some filler here and there. But I can say, if I get anything from this project, it is that it is a reference to you not having to maintain a oneness with anything. You have the ability to explore different sides of yourself. GoldLink proves to amount to more than just what he's given us in the past on this project. But along with everything when it comes to experimenting, there are a couple of downsides to the project as well. One of the things that I can't really stand on this project is the habit that GoldLink has of falling back into the GoldLink or the DC flow. And it happens so frequently on this project, almost to the point where you can predict it. Not to say this annoying to hear his voice or anything, but every now and again I can do without the it comes up so frequently, it acts as like a baseline or a preset for a flow for him, and it's pretty predictable. Moving on from that, although I really do enjoy the features on this project, I do think a lot of them outshine GoldLink. And not to say that he's a, like I said, poorly performing artist, it's just that whenever I do hear outside features, they're usually more intelligible. I can usually either hear them better. With GoldLink giving this laid back, very low tone delivery, it makes his words come off as less impactful and less meaningful than everyone else's that he might be featured with. And again, this doesn't happen on all the tracks, but with him using this smooth, very low-key style, it makes his presence less than that of his counterparts. The lack of variation in vocal styles from GoldLink makes a good portion of the additions vocally that he adds to this project almost interchangeable. All you're doing from time to time is either slowly speeding up or slowing down his vocal delivery. Lyrically, the project can be pretty absent too, but with its references musically, I don't really think it's going for anything super deep conceptually. Other than GoldLink's really smooth performance on a lot of this track, making him fall into the background a bit, I don't really think there's too much to complain with on this project. I just think that GoldLink keeps me mentally there with the album musically because of his subtle sprinkles of different genres throughout it, and it prevents me from comparing it so blatantly to one genre specifically because it's varied, and none of the tracks are such a musical reference to one specific sound that I would be forced mentally to compare it to one of those, because it interpolates many different elements and infuses them. Other than the random censoring on Pusha T's verse for Coke White and a little bit of GoldLink's verse on Moscow, I don't think there's too much to complain about. Though I do wish he hit this project with some more substantial bars, a little bit less filler, and just a little bit more of a hard-hitting delivery. I gotta say that this album really does do it for me in terms of summer enjoyability and regional references while staying true to himself. GoldLink, Diaspora, I know I'm pronouncing it wrong. Thank you for watching. You let me know how you felt about this project in the comment section down below. I'm interested to hear your thoughts, and yeah, enjoyed it. I'll see y'all next time, man.